Hi, I'm Barry Llewellyn, and I'm going to talk to you today about creativity and well-being. And to fully participate in this session, you'll need pen and paper. So I'm going to give you a minute to get that so that we can do a journaling exercise together towards the end. And while I give you half a minute to get that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. So I'm a senior lecturer in creative writing at the University of South Wales. I teach on 2 degree courses. One is the BA in English and Creative Writing, the undergraduate degree, and the other is the postgraduate MPhil in Creative Writing. In both those courses, the emphasis is firmly on study and practice of strategies that will make our students into the best writers they can be, whether they are writing poetry or prose or nonfiction or script writing. We want them to be able to reach their intended audience and to publish their work. And I have to say that I'm very proud that we have a lot of success with these courses. A lot of our writing students graduate and they go on to publish their own books and to enter into professions to do it with this field. So have you got your paper and pen? I hope so, because I'm going to start talking about the thing I really want to speak to you about, which is this thing that I call writing's other power. So I've always known that writing makes me feel better. Even if I'm just writing a list, writing helps me to clear my mind and to give me direction as I negotiate my day-to-day life. But it's more than that. It's the very act of choosing a symbol or a letter, if you like, and creating a word, and then creating a sentence, and then creating a paragraph, and reordering those things. So it's this very act of creation that makes me feel better. And I've started to think that on the days that I don't allow myself to do that, I don't feel as well as I possibly could. So it's become something I practice a lot. And the other thing I've started to think as I've been thinking about this is that creativity takes many forms. So for some people, it might be dribbling a football or baking a cake or throwing a pot or playing golf or cooking like a master chef. But whatever it is, if we don't allow ourselves the time to be creative, then I don't think we're giving ourselves the benefit of well-being, or fully the benefit of well-being. So I write every day. I have beautiful pens and I have gorgeous notebooks, and people who know me buy me these things as presents, and I'm always very grateful. But I also write directly onto a computer, onto electronic documents, and even onto my phone, whatever's at hand and whatever I need. For me, it's this very act of creativity, whether I'm writing a few lines of poetry or whether I write some prose or whether I write in my journal. Writing helps me to truly know myself. It helps me to understand other people's perspectives and points of views. It's helped me to avoid arguments. And if you think about it, if you have something that's bothering you and you write it down and you work it out for yourself, perhaps it saves you from going and bothering the other person about it. Perhaps you work it out for yourself, and that can only be a good thing. And that's in normal times. And I think in normal times, we all do things just routinely. So for me, writing has become something I just do without thinking about it. Just as someone else might come home from a day's work and cook a beautiful meal. And that's their way of relaxing and creating. And it's really important. But we're not living in normal times. We're living in unprecedented times of change, which can create in us high anxiety. For some of us, we're suddenly working at home. And for me, for example, this room has become my world. It's virtually a new world in lots of ways. And I know that for some people, their room that they're working in is also the place where they sleep. So we have to get used to this. And as human beings, we do adapt, and that's our great superpower, is that human beings adapt. And in this situation, our families need us to adapt, and our employers have asked us to adapt. but it's still difficult to kind of impose order in a chaotic world and in an uncertain place. So at the very beginning of this global pandemic and this lockdown that we're under, I was reminded of the therapeutic benefits of my writing practice, of the thing I do every day. And that's really what I wanted to speak to you guys about today, is to remind you that no matter how chaotic it feels, that we all need to take the time to do that thing that makes us feel good when we're doing it and makes us feel great when we're finished with it. So I'm going to give you an example of how this worked for me practically this week. So the area that I live in was very suddenly on Monday put into lockdown again. And I didn't see it coming, and it threw me. And at the beginning of the week, it was a very bad week for me. I was upset about the things I was going to lose that I've just regained. And then, you know, you kind of get over it. We're resilient, so we all sort of find ways around this, and we make plans and we think of ways to cope. And then yesterday I was putting together this webinar and thinking about it and what I wanted to say to you. And I started to get a little bit stressed because this is not the way I normally teach and talk to people. Right now I'm talking to a camera and all I can see is me, and it's unsettling. What I'm used to doing is going into a room full of people and talking with people. And that way you get to see the reactions on people's faces, what you need to do to make yourself clearer, and also, you know, if you're hitting the right notes, if you're saying the right thing. So this is so unusual and so stressful. And I was thinking about talking to camera and how I was going to negotiate this. At the same time, I was jumping into Teams meetings. We all call it jumping into meetings now, don't we? Jumping into Teams meetings and talking to colleagues and answering emails. And I wanted to speak to my line manager on the phone, so I phoned her and she phoned me back, and all this was going on. And I began to feel extremely unanchored. And I knew that what I needed to do was not to scroll through Instagram or to make another cup of coffee or to go and put laundry in the washing machine or to phone a friend. What I needed to do was take some time out, grab my notebook and grab my best pen and write and just do some free writing. And that's what I did. So I did free writing. What is free writing? Free writing is a pen and paper and your head and dumping it on the page. And some of us impose a structure on that. So I wrote for 3 pages yesterday, and that's my usual strategy. Other people might set a timer for half an hour or so, and some people will do a word count. I've also heard of writers who set aside an hour a day for writing. That's their writing hour. They don't have to write during that hour, but they're not allowed to do anything else. So if you set aside some time to do something and you don't allow yourself to call your mom or to hoover or to go for a walk, then I think you're probably going to write. So I just want to say a word about starting to write during free writing. Starting to write is hell. Writing is, for me, heaven, but starting to write is the worst thing. So my advice to writers is to put your pen to paper and just start writing. Even if you're writing, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to write. Because if you've set yourself half an hour to write, something else will happen, I promise. But you have to keep at it. You have to stick to those goals. So for some of you, free writing, oh, sorry, I was going to give you one more tip, and this is my big private tip. So I allow myself to destroy what I've written in my free writing. So during this pandemic, I have written pages and pages and pages that I have either burnt or torn up or buried, and that will never see the light of day, because often my free writing is my ranting and my venting, and I can't see any reason that anybody needs to read this again, even me. So for some people, this active annihilation of writing will be sacrilegious. They'll say, how can you do that? You may have written something that someday someone will find and you'll be considered a genius. But for me, it's the best therapy. Just think about it. You write it down, you destroy it. All those negative feelings gone. It's a good thing. for me. So you might want to try that strategy as well. So for some people, free writing is not the way forward, and you might need a prompt. So what I thought we'd do today is look at a prompt that I prepared earlier. And I'm going to use a PowerPoint slide to show you this, so you have to bear with me while I get that up. And I just want to remind you that, again, for me, this is a stressful situation. I'm not used to teaching like this. And so I'm going to take you through kind of a long exercise in writing, but I can't tell because I'm not watching you do it, whether you're keeping up with me or not. So please don't try to. If you feel that you want to go slower or faster than I'm taking you, please do. And if you want to return to this again, please feel free to do it. So if you bear with me, I'm just going to try to work out how to put my PowerPoint up and take you through this exercise. So I hope you can see that. So this exercise focuses on your room, and I think that's topical at the moment because, as I've said, a lot of us are sitting in one room a lot of our day. And what I think happens, and I think there's writing about this somewhere, that the more you're in one place, the less you see of it. So I'm hoping that this exercise will help you to get rid of any other thoughts that might be in your head at the moment and just concentrate on the environment you're in and really remember what you know about it. Again, please take this at your own pace. So to begin with, I want you to use your senses to describe the room you're in. What can you hear? What does it smell like? Here's a kind of odd one, but it's a very creative writing kind of question. If you could taste this room, what would you taste? How does it feel to touch? Please feel free to get up from your chair and walk around the room and touch items and surfaces. Pick up objects. Really experience the room. And I haven't mentioned seeing the room because I'm assuming that you will take some time to really look at the room and to list the things in it. Perhaps you can find 10 things in the room that you've forgotten you've got. 10 things that you never bothered to look at, and list those things. Next, I'd like you to take a minute to write down all the ways that you feel in the room. Are you warm? Are you cold? Are you comfortable? Are you annoyed with anything? Or are you super comfortable and happy, and being in the room makes you feel at peace? Just note those things down for a minute. Maybe like me, your room makes you feel hungry because every time I come to work in my room, I find I need something to eat. Anyone else have that problem? Whatever it is, write it down. And when you're ready, think about how the room changes at various times of the year. In the winter, is it different from the summer? What about holiday times? What about birthdays? Do you decorate your room? Write about it, and maybe take some time to actually describe the scenes that you remember. So this is delving now into your memories of this room. What other memories does this room and the things in it evoke for you? Maybe look at some of the items in the room and remember where they came from. Are there gifts that bring a person or an occasion to mind? Are there photographs? I know that I have a chair in my room that I remember my father sitting in and holding my newborn baby in. And when I really look at that chair, I can still see him there, although it's many years have passed since that moment, and my newborn baby now has babies of her own, and my father is no longer with us. So perhaps there's something like that in your room that reminds you of that time, and maybe that's something that you would want to write about. Take all these descriptions, these feelings and memories, and write for a few minutes. Start with the physical things that you can observe and let your pen wander into the memories, or maybe your hopes for the future. Write for half an hour or 3 pages, and then put your paper away without reading it. And maybe come back to it after a few days or a week. And I think you might be surprised by what you've written, and maybe you've got something that you can build on there. So this may be not just an exercise about journaling and information dump and clearing your head. It may actually turn into something that can be a poem or a piece of prose or a nonfiction article. So there are many ways of thinking about these writing prompts, and I hope that was helpful for you. I'd like to thank you for coming to this webinar today. I just want to give you one more bit of my advice, which is what I always say to students, and that is buy yourself an amazing pen and treat yourself to a gorgeous notebook or 2 or 3 and get into writing, and don't forget about the benefits of creativity. Thank you very much for listening. I'm happy to take some questions. So let me have a look and see what's come up. Can you recommend some books about writing and creativity? I can. I've actually got them with me. I've got The Artist's Way. I don't know if you can see this, by Julia Cameron. This is a great book for discovering and recovering your creative self. And it's an actual 12-week course, and I would recommend The Artist's Way. There's lots of other books out there too, but that was the one that kind of started me thinking about this subject a long time ago, and I've built my thoughts about this and use this in many ways. And the other thing you might want to do is get yourself something like this one, which is, I don't know if you can see it, 365 Ways to Get You Writing, Daily Inspiration and Advice for Creative Writers. And those are things that will just give you prompts, like the room prompt I've just given you. There's hundreds and hundreds of prompts out there. And you can also just Google these subjects and you'll find loads of stuff online and, you know, in Amazon and all kinds of places. How do I find out about the courses you mentioned from Sue? Thank you for that question, because I'm always happy to promote our courses. And I think all you need to do is look at the University of South Wales website and search for the MPhil in Creative Writing if you want a postgraduate degree. It's actually called the MPhil in Writing, and it can be nonfiction, fiction, poetry, many things, and it's a great course. Or you can also on the website you can search for the BA English and Creative Writing course, which I teach on as well. Are you able to incorporate the well-being aspects of writing within your academic teaching? That's an excellent question. And I think you probably, just in 10 minutes of knowing me, know that this will be something that I do anyway. I talk to students about the power of writing and the well-being aspects of it. And of course we focus on the things that make writers into people that can earn money and be employed, because that's what we have to do and that's what we should be doing. But, you know, well-being is essential to so many other parts of life, to all of our lives, and I would be wrong not to incorporate my feelings and my thoughts and my thinking about this. but that's a great question. Thank you. Can you give us more ideas for writing exercises? Okay, one more. Okay, one of the things that you might also want to do, and if you're in like a local lockdown like I am now, and you can't leave the area you live in, it might be good to take a walk in your area. So what I would recommend for this is to leave your pen and notebook behind and just take a walk and notice the buildings and the people that you see. And again, just like the room exercise, I bet you there will be things on your walk that you take all the time that you don't remember to notice. So challenge yourself to notice 10 things that you haven't seen before. And when you get back home after however long your walk is, before you do anything else, write. Sit down and write about it and see what happens, because what you write may not be about the walk at all. It may be about something else, but the walk should stimulate you to writing and to creativity. So that might be a good one to try after this webinar is over. Anyway, thank you very much. I don't think there's any other questions, but if you'd like to ask any questions, I'm happy for you to write to us, and I think we put up the address there. You can email me. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.